The flame-grilled Whopper from Burger King. The most food-filling burger.
Is it, though?
Is that?
Yes. A slightly better version of you.
I don't understand.
Just like the new Whopper that's juicier and tastier than ever before. Same, but hits different. That's my line now.
Oh, sorry.
Whopper never tasted so good. Order now on the Burger King app.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Save big with 6 chili cheese bites for just £1.99. Crispy on the outside, smooth and spicy on the inside. Exclusively on the app.
Let's go!
Well, it's wet, it's wild out there. Paul Cooney here with Mark Guidi and Andy Walker. Andy, I'm just back from Dundee. Started out in Glasgow this morning. Torrential rain. Dundee, you had some success up there over the years. I'm just throwing this at you. Would you prefer playing at Dens Park or Tannadice?
Always Dens. It was always a better surface. For some reason over the recent years that has changed, but I like Dens. I had some good results there with Motherwell as well as Celtic. Great pitch.
Mark, for you as a goalkeeper with St Mirren, was it Dens or Tannadice where you let in fewer goals?
Funny enough, I was talking to Arbroath. Gayfield saved a penalty at Gayfield. Andy, remember the striker? Yeah. It was season 92-93. Lower league striker Andy, Kenny McDonald. The striker, and I saved a penalty for Kenny McDonald.
Did he try and chip it?
He's probably tried to dink me, and I've managed to stand my ground.
Magnificent.
Great footballing area up there. You know, you think, Montrose, Brecon, Dundee United, Dundee, brilliant.
Okay, I only asked you. I didn't need the album
Wally,
version.
the Bruins,
exactly.
everything.
They were all there today. Tell you more about that later. Well, what's happening overnight? It's the Celtic story is probably top of the agenda. Who is going to be in the dugout when Celtic get back to action in, well, just under 2 weeks' time? It's the international break coming fast upon us. Mark, what's the latest on it? We gave that news last night. It's speculation, but the name of someone that most of us hadn't heard of, Wilfried Nancy, the Columbus Crew boss, is one of those in the frame, apparently.
I believe that Celtic will be closing in a short list and may well start an interview process, Paul, over the next week or so. I think the fact that Martin O'Neill has gone in and really got things steadied and actually moving forward, he's improved things, got to a cup final. There's no rush to do it, so Celtic have got time on their side as in to go through a robust and proper process. I said last week, Paul, and many occasions in the past, Dermot Desmond has basically handpicked the manager, Martin O'Neill, Gordon Strachan, Brendan Rodgers. My understanding is that won't be the case this time. Obviously, he'll be involved. His son, Ross Desmond, will be involved, but there'll be a proper process. So, for example, Wilfried Nancy's name has been mentioned. There is a connection to Paul Tisdale. Paul Tisdale, I'm led to believe, very much has Dermot Desmond's ear. And the board will be involved in the process as well. So I think Celtic will go through an interview process, Paul, with 3, possibly 4 people, in the knowledge that they have an excellent manager in Martin O'Neill and the staff around about him to keep things going. It could well be the new guys in place in time for the St Mirren game a week on Saturday, 8 o'clock kick-off in Paisley, 22nd of November. It might not be. Absolutely nobody knows at this point how long Martin O'Neill is going to be in charge. It could be another couple of games, it could be until the cup final, it could be into the January window. But I think the sooner Celtic make a permanent appointment, the better for all concerned.
Martin back down in London for a few days this week. Andy, do you think, do they need to get somebody in place for the football coming back in a couple of weeks' time, or Martin O'Neill could continue? What do you feel?
Well, I'm sure Martin O'Neill could continue whether he wants to. I think in an ideal world, if you're an elite club, and Celtic would consider themselves to be an elite club, you would be well on with your targets. You'd be well on in discussions with them. You would narrow it down to, I don't know, 2 or 3 people, and you would get one in the door. They're not going to go for an elite manager again. You're not going to get a Brendan Rodgers or a Martin O'Neill or someone of that ilk, because I think they want a head coach just to go and work with the players, get back to the model that's been very successful for Celtic. Here's your players, go and work with them, fatten them up and sell them on, and Celtic will look to continue to be dominant in Scotland. Whether they can go on and do what they did last season and go as far in the Champions League? I'm not so sure.
Celtic fans, what do you think? 0808 17 17 700. Claudio Braga has been named the player of the month. The Hearts player who's had great acclaim. And maybe that's part of the story over the summer into the autumn for Celtic as well. And Rangers to an extent, in that Hearts leading the pack, but they slipped up at the weekend. Andy, you were there. Josh is on the line, a Celtic fan in the Liverpool area. Hi, Josh.
You're right, Paul, mate. How are you?
Yeah,
okay?
good, thank you. So is Mark.
Hi, Josh.
Andy as well.
Hi, Josh.
You're all right. So, yeah, a couple of things, really. First of all, on the Scotland side of things,
Yes.
I think the players venturing abroad to improve the game and further the careers. We've got a few examples. Scott McTominay nominated for the Ballon d'Or. You've got Billy Gilmour. You've got Lewis Ferguson. So how pivotal is that to the development of the national game, boys? Because, you know, that they're coming into a different culture, a different league. They're bringing these ideas back to the international fold as well, probably, when they go to the camp with Scotland as well. And we're seeing that improvement. I mean, yeah, sure, 2024, the actual tournament was a bit of a tough spell for the side, but in terms of these qualifying campaigns, and Steve Clarke's got his feet very much under the door with the style of play and stuff. So do you think these little tidbits of information coming back can really help the national fold, boys? Do you think that's had an impact at all?
Well, Scott McTominay is always in Stevie Clarke's starting 11. Not so much Lewis Ferguson. Billy Gilmour, pretty much in and out, maybe more in than out. You've got Aaron Hickey, who's played in Italy, now down at Brentford.
How good is he going to be?
And I think he's still got his best years to come, I think. But you've also got someone like your captain, Andy Robertson, who's won the Premier League in England. He's won the Champions League. And I know that he's in and out of the Liverpool side at the moment. I've got to say, I still think Liverpool are a better team with him in it. But he's got a challenge there just to hold down a regular place. But I think Stevie does that. Stevie Clarke does that. He'll always look to the experienced players, the names that I've mentioned. Obviously, Billy Gilmour has dropped out, and the fact that they're having some warm weather training before they play Greece. The thing that really concerns me is we've spoken about it before. It's the goalkeeping situation, because you've got all the experience you want in Craig Gordon. I think he's got in excess of 80 caps, but hasn't he kicked a ball? No. This season,
190 odd days, Andy.
And that's got to be a problem, because he might go with Craig Gordon, and he's not been playing. So
he probably will, won't he?
Well, if he does, you've got Scott Bain, who's he's back in the fold after a lot of years away, but at least he's playing every week.
I just mean the fact that he goes with the ones that he's known and trusted over all the years. Mark, what do you think about Scots going abroad and bringing something back to the national
Yeah, it's
team?
great. Can't do any harm. For example, I think Lennon Miller, eventually became, really fixed in the idea that he wanted to go abroad, and a part of that was being in the Scotland squad and listening to Scott McTominay and Billy Gilmour and telling their stories of what it was like.
Was it?
Yeah, it was, absolutely. So it can't do us any harm. I think as any Scots person, you're proud when you see Napoli winning the title, and those two guys have made their part. Scott McTominay, absolutely outstanding, as Josh said, nominated for the Ballon d'Or, and more players following. Lewis Ferguson, captain of Bologna,
beat them at the weekend, I see.
Yeah, it's great. So really, really good to see that, and let's hope that it pays off the next two games. Greece away on Saturday night, and then Denmark at Hampden on Tuesday. 4 points from 6 will see us qualify right away, and the draw is in Washington DC on December the 5th.
You'll be there, Mark, I take it. Yeah, you'll be
I might go over, Paul, for Go Radio. But the goalkeeping situation,
you better get the bus now. You might just make it. Seriously, there is a bus Buchanan Street.
The goalkeeping situation, I have to be honest, I think it's an absolute nightmare for Steve Clarke. With the greatest of respect, what he did with Angus Gunn at the start of was brilliant. And Angus Gunn, he came in, he showed faith in Angus Gunn after he had a pretty poor Euro 2024, stuck with him, and Angus Gunn paid it back. I mean, think of that save that he had against Greece at Hampden. I mean, outstanding save.
We could have been dead and buried.
Yeah, we could have been. So he's been brilliant, and now you're very much back to square one. Honestly, Paul, I think you could put the three names in a hat and pick one out. I said last week, I think it'll come down to how, if there's a standout in training this week, Steve will speak to Chris Woods, the goalkeeping coach, and they'll take it from there. But Scott Bain, Liam Kelly, Craig Gordon all get different qualities in different ways. But it would have to be a real concern. It really would be the fact that Craig Gordon hasn't played a competitive game of football for what did you say, 7-8 months?
Yeah, it's 196 days it will be by Saturday.
And I know people say, he's a goalkeeper, he doesn't need to run. I get all that, but you've still got to have your eye in. Scott Bain's the one with his eye in. Liam Kelly's played a couple of games.
And Mark, seriously, as
I don't know what he'll do. Honestly, Paul,
you need games, don't you?
Yeah, but I think you do. You need your eye in. You definitely need your eye in. Honestly, I don't know what he'll do. I really think it'll be who shows up in training over the next 2 or 3 days. Do
you think anyone, I'm asking all three of you, thinks in Scottish football, what are we going to do about developing goalkeepers? Because we have an issue, we've got a problem here. It's like the under-21s, it's never discussed about Scott Gemmell or whatever. I've got no skin in the game, but defeat after defeat. And yet it rolls on. There doesn't seem to be any real look at it.
Listen, we've spoken about this before, and there's a problem just developing Scottish players full stop. They don't get an opportunity. And you look at every club, where are you getting your players? You look at St Mirren, Motherwell, Kilmarnock, where do they get their players? League One, League Two, some of them from non-league in England. Previous years, previous decades, you look to your reserves, you look to your youth team, and I find it a great pity, but the pressure for results on a weekly basis, if you go through a bad spell as a manager now in the top flight and you haven't won for 4 or 5 games, it seems as though your job is under threat.
Josh, what else were you thinking tonight?
Yeah, so I've also got as well, there's been the draw for the SWPL Cup, hasn't there? And that's pitted the two Glasgow Giants together in Rangers and Celtic. I've been looking at...
Hey, wait a minute, Josh, I have to correct you. The Glasgow Giants, when it comes to the women's games, Glasgow City. So it's in our excellent podcast with Glasgow G850. But I know what you mean. So it's the big two.
Come on, Josh,
Friday night. Shut up, Paul. Sorry.
The massive all clash, and I've been following the progress of Rangers under Leanne Crichton. A bit indifferent in terms of the results and in terms of some of the goals that they've been conceding, a bit uncharacteristic. There is that kind of bedding in period. I was saying the same thing with Danny Rowe coming into Rangers as well, that the male equivalent. I just think you kind of need time to settle, time to get your points across. And then we're seeing this dynamic attacking play from the Rangers women's team as well. I've mentioned Katie Wilkinson numerous times on the show. She's got a fantastic goal ratio, and she's also added this kind of innate ability to bring other people into the game as well. She's got that experience and that class about her. So that's what I'm looking at with that. I mean, I said the Glasgow Giants in error there, to be honest.
No, I was teasing with you. I know. Yeah, but it is different there. I know. Yeah, Friday night, isn't it? Yeah, I hope there'll be a good crowd for it. And Leanne Crichton knows the game so well. She joined us many times in the programme until she went there. But
great pundit, and as Josh said, 1 or 2 in different results, but give her time. You've got to give managers time. We see today, Barry Robson sacked at Wraith Rovers. It just seemed to be that managers are getting less and less time to try and put things right. But as you say, Josh, mouth-watering clash in the SWPL Cup with Celtic against Rangers.
I see Celtic had a 9-1 win, Josh. Do they go in as favourites?
Well, it's a tough question because, following the season as a whole, I think you're totally spot on with the Glasgow City comments. They've built that consistency under Leanne Ross. I used to watch her play for Scotland. She was a great player and just carried some of those hallmarks over into the management. So, for me, the favourites for the tournament are probably Glasgow City. The favourites for this game, I think, a bit of a toss of the coin, the same in the male games. When you get into the old firm environment, it's about who wants it more on the day. It's about the passion. It's about maybe the odd bounce of the ball going in your favour. These are all simplistic analyses to make, really. But in a massive game like that, it could literally go either way. And you've mentioned it being on a Friday night as well, Paul, which is, it's kind of foreign for the women's game to have games like that. And it's live on Sky Sports as well, which gives it that massive coverage that, people who don't really follow the women's game maybe have a look at it.
It's a good time.
I'm really excited.
Andy, isn't it? Friday night, good time for TV slot.
Yeah. Excellent. You get a lot of viewers, and there's growing figures, I'm sure, that are watching the women's game.
Yeah, Rangers had a 3-0 win against Partick Thistle. So overall then, Josh, this time next week we'll be getting ready for Scotland playing Denmark, the final game. Do you think we're going to be going to the World Cup? Are we going to actually qualify? Will we get the 4 points?
Short answer, yeah. The long answer is, we've talked about developing players, and I think in the midfield area, we've got a plethora of talent. We've got like the likes of Lennon Miller, we've got Kieran Bally further forward up front as well. So, we're developing players further up, but the goalkeeping situation, it's that massive question mark. For me, I'd always favour the experience, because Craig's been there, done it, got the T-shirt many times for Scotland. Whether that can translate into the next step of the World Cup, because like in 2019, the Women's World Cup, Scotland got to the group stage, and again it was hard luck stories in terms of not making it out of the group. So for me, I want to see them get into the tournament, but not just to make the numbers up, with the ideals of maybe pushing forward to the knockout stages would be my next step for this team, because Stevie's done a lot of spade work, and the lads have done a lot of spade work as well under Steve to kind of prepare for this kind of mammoth situation in terms of tournament football. So I always go in with optimism. You know what I'm like, Paul. I'm going to go for 6 points, me.
6 points, that would be magnificent. Andy, not impossible. I mean, if we go to Greece, that's going to be quite a cauldron, isn't it?
Greece is going to be really tough. I mean, at times they were outplaying us at Hampden. They've got a lot of talent in their armour there. They've got a lot of options. We've just had the one or two little injuries with Billy Gilmore. I'm sure Billy Gilmore would have played, but I think we've got a really strong squad.
He might be okay for the Denmark game.
Well, hopefully, because what you want is, at the very least, you want a draw when you go over to Greece, and it just sets up some sort of cup final for us. And at Hampden, I don't think you could ask for anything more to put you in pole position to qualify.
Mark, what's your feeling a week out?
I'd love a point on Saturday night, but I mean, I think a lot depends on the psyche of the Greece team. Obviously they're out of it, so what are they thinking? Are they up for it, or are they going to go through the motions? So hopefully they're going to go through the motions. We can take advantage of that. If they're up for it, Paul, it's a hell of a task, even just to get a point. But let's be positive, go and get a point. And if we do that and we bring it back to Hampden next Tuesday night, you imagine if we're sitting here now, this time next week, getting ready, a sold out Hampden Park. We beat Denmark at home. You think we're going to the World Cup. We've not been since 1998. It's a great feeling. Credit to Steve Clarke, his staff and the players for getting to the position that they're in just now. And I'd love it if they could go and finish the job up. I genuinely believe if we get the point on Saturday night, or 3 as Josh is saying, but all we need is a point. I definitely think we'll beat the Danes.
And
I think
crowd,
we'll beat the Danes on the Tuesday night.
That'd be absolutely magnificent. Josh, you're not getting off the hook. I should have asked you then, who's going to win in the women's game, the other semi-final, Glasgow City or Hibs?
I'm going to go 2-1 to Glasgow City in that one. Then in the Rangers and Celtic one, I'm going to go for it to go all the way to penalties. And I think Leanne's Rangers just about take that one on penalties.
Josh, thanks so much for your call. 0808 17 17 700. Still a lot of domestic football on as well in the women's game, and we're still looking back at what happened at the weekend. Celtic fans, who do you want to see as the next manager? And the Rangers fans, Mark, they're getting quite fond of Danny Rule, aren't they, who was out there. Have you got any problem? I see Chris Boyd, apparently I didn't see that point of I watched the game but missed afterwards, when he went to the crowd and he was up like Jurgen Klopp. Do you have an issue with that?
I mean, I think, he can't help what he inherited. He inherited a bad situation. There's always a lot of work required with the squad. He's won a game. He's shown his supporters that, let's have unity, let's be together. Thank you. Appreciation for travelling up to Dundee and getting behind the team. And they've won the game. They've won it very, very comfortably. 3-0, another clean sheet. And it's 9 points out of 9 for him in the league. As a manager, on a day where Hearts drop 2 points, the league leader, so there's Rangers made 2 points up. So it was a good day all round for Danny Rona. I don't have a problem with managers in Grover to show their appreciation to a travelling support.
Andy?
They're desperate for someone to love. The supporters are desperate for someone to love, and he's given them a bit of a cheer. It's pretty much a new thing. After every game you need to do a lap of honour, whether you've won or lost. I mean, I've got no problem with it at all, but try going over to get applause when you've lost a game. That's the acid test, of course.
Martin O'Neill actually said, well, not because he didn't wave to the fans, and some people were saying, oh, is that a sign that you'll be back? Or he didn't go and say thank you, well done. This is what he said at the end of the 4-0 win.
I think, on reflection, my years here, the game has changed a lot, and now the players spend about an hour after the match is over, going round the ground regardless. I don't remember doing that at home. I'd always applaud the away fans when we've travelled away, but at home I always used to think I was in the dressing room before the players came in. But I might be wrong, but I can't remember that far back.
Danny Rule and his relationship with the fans.
I try always to have a good relationship with our fans. I think respect for them. They travel to everywhere. I want to see, and I see a lot of togetherness more and more again when I look back. Since I'm here now, I feel really everyone goes more and more in one direction, and it's good. I have a great support from my staff, from my coaches. My players are listening, and if we can bring this together with our fans and we have this togetherness in one direction, then I think we can building up something here.
All right, what do you think on that? That's coming next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Enjoy the £5.99 regular Whopper meal. Juicier than ever and bursting with flavour, with fries and a drink. Only on the app.
Let's go! It's the Tuesday night edition of the Go Radio Football Show with our friends at Burger King. Paul Cooney is here, Andy Walker and Mark Guidi. Some of the headlines today. Barry Robson sacked at Wraith Rovers. Former Celtic, Middlesbrough, Scotland, Aberdeen manager.
They're a point away from a playoff spot. Yeah. I don't understand it. I know he's got a lot to offer. I know that they've lost more games this season than they've won, but I think when you're so close to a playoff spot and it's still so early in the season, I don't know what their plan is. I don't know who they expect to come in and do a lot better.
Yeah, they lost 2-1 at the weekend to Queen's Park. Football management, Mark, it's a perilous job now, which doesn't seem to last too long if things go wrong, even a few dodgy results.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Paul, you look at it, I mean, I think in the UK, you would look at Spain. Remember the old Atletico Madrid, Jesus Gil, and he would sack managers after 4 or 5 weeks. We go through 5-6 months. It used to be the way in the English Championship that managers.
Watford were notorious for it.
Watford,
Still are,
remember Billy McKinley, 9 days. I said coach
as
of
long
Watford.
as that
9 days he got.
9 days. How can it be 9 days?
Yeah, 9 days. So they would sack managers willy-nilly. We used to look it up here thinking, it's unfair. We're now the same, Paul. Most managers, if they get more than 12 months, they're doing well. You need to be pretty exceptional to get more than 12 months at all levels. Now in the game, it's quite unfortunate, it's quite sad, but that's the way of the modern day manager.
Mind you, down south, Andy, Rob Edwards, Middlesbrough, is he still there? Has he gone? What's the latest?
He's gone to Wolves.
Yep.
And I always understand the lure of the Premier League in England, but Wolves look a sorry lot. Given the level of competition there, I think they'll still go down. If you were in charge of any other club and you thought Rob Edwards was a good manager, you might think twice now, because it seems as though he would just jump at the earliest opportunity, and maybe he's someone not to be trusted.
Mark?
Yeah, sad for Middlesbrough because he was going well, and everybody in the game says that Steve Gibson is a wonderful owner to work for. So they're back to square one. Where do they go? Middlesbrough flying high. It'll probably end up that they'll change places. Wolves will come down and Middlesbrough up. But Rob Edwards, he's got a tie to Wolves. Maybe his family's still living there. I don't know, but yeah. It's I feel for Middlesbrough. I
see the Record this morning had a story saying they reckon that Brendan Rodgers will end up in Saudi Arabia. There's no quotes that I saw in it, but would it surprise you if Brendan ended up maybe next season in the Middle East?
I don't know, Paul. I think maybe he would feel, given also he won't manage anywhere else in Scotland. He's had a few really good jobs down south. I know he's fluent in Spanish. I think he also speaks Italian. I think he maybe kind of harboured that one day he would work abroad. Well, I think La Liga really floats his boat. So yeah, I think whether it be Saudi Arabia, whether it be La Liga, I think he'll pop up somewhere. In the greatest respect, you see Atalanta sacking Juric, who made an absolute ricket of it when he was manager of Southampton last season. Yet he can go and get the job at Atalanta, and they say that. So why can Brendan Rodgers not go and pick up a job like that? He's certainly got the ability to do it.
I heard him.
I mean, Russell Martin, his name has been mentioned for Swansea.
Oh, and Swansea as well.
Yeah. So
and Norwich, isn't it? Yeah,
he's been
Norwich,
there before,
yeah.
of course, and Norwich.
He was captain there, wasn't he?
So they're actually a couple of good clubs, really good clubs, in a great area. I mean, ask Granty about living in and around Norwich. It's a lovely part of the world.
Best food ever, he said.
Norwich, down there, Norfolk.
The owner, exactly.
What am I laughing?
You got it. Delia, exactly.
He's there.
Come on, let's be having you. And I heard
Avenue.
in TalkSport this afternoon that they were saying about, they were just asking, would Brendan Rodgers look at going back to Swansea? Now, I don't think he
Luka
would.
Modric
He
is
didn't
there.
think it either. Yeah,
Luka Modric is part of the investment
yeah.
group.
So
at
would he go
Swansea.
there? But fans would love it. But I doubt that would be the case. What about what the managers were saying just before the break? So Danny Rule going to the Rangers fans. Martin O'Neill, he was quite funny as well, wasn't he? The fact that he was saying the players will stay here for about an hour. Yes,
He's good. He's been in good form, hasn't he? He's, from that part of it, Paul, he's really light. He made it a lot of it light-hearted, which was required, I think. Given what had gone on previous.
Andy.
Well, it's just the point that he makes. We've been saying it for so long. I mean,
what's going on?
Home or away? Do you do it at training? I mean, I don't know what it's all. You have to go round and do a lap of the stadium, home and away. Why?
Yeah.
Do you not show the supporters how much you care by the way you've played?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Kieran's on, a big Celtic fan, saying, what does Martin O'Neill feel about Celtic after 2 weeks, about the team that he has, the squad, any insight? Because, we talk about the Bobo Baldis and all the rest of it, the team, that we know that the financial landscape has changed in Scotland, although Celtic are probably the biggest payers, although Rangers not far behind. But what does he make of that squad? Because it's not as strong physically as a Martin O'Neill team would want to be.
I mean, I don't think many of us are expecting Martin to still be in charge come January when the window reopens. I think it would, it's fair to say that Celtic really should have a new permanent manager in place by then. But if Martin's still got a job, then I don't think he'll let Celtic down. However, whether it's Martin O'Neill or anybody else, whether it's Knutson, whether it's Nancy, whether it's McKenna, they need to really improve the squad. The recruitment team and the new manager. You can see it, Paul. It's a tired squad. It's a predictable squad, but most importantly, it's lacking in quality. The midfield just looks a bit, it needs freshened up. I've said, they missed out on Lennon Miller, the best Scottish talent of last season. They missed out on him. I think you can see Brendan Rodgers says when they come back the second time, looking at the squad, you need to replenish it. Squads really have a maximum of 3 years together. And again, I'm going to pick one guy out, but I don't mean it all on his shoulders. But I think you can see that in someone like Rio Hatate. He's been there, I think, 4 years now. He should have been moved on. And that's nothing against him. He's been a top player, been a fantastic contribution. But you can just see, I think he needs something fresh. Maeda clearly felt the same way too. And I get that, and if Celtic can make lots of money on them, good. So I think come January, it should be part one of major resurgery on the Celtic squad.
Andy?
I agree. I mean, you only have to look back at the problems that were created by a really poor summer window. When you think everything should be in order to... when you look at the players that had left Celtic, I mean, they were really important strikers. And even Adam Ida when he was there. But he wouldn't be sold unless we get someone else in. And of course he was. That only added to the extraordinary disconnect that you had between, Brendan Rodgers speaking about it, being critical of the board being so unhappy with a level of criticism that they've maybe not seen before. And it just left it a bit of a mess. Celtic are trailing Hearts at the moment. I have no doubt that they can get better, but as Mark says, you need to start in the next window, and surely they have already identified, if not signings, then you could get one or two loan players in with a level of experience that would flourish in the Scottish game.
For me now, Paul, looking at the Celtic squad, my starting point would be the spine of the team. A new right-sided centre-half. Now, I know Cameron Carter-Vickers on his day, for me he's the best central defender in Scottish football. You look at his attendance record on the past couple of years, he's not reliable, and that's unfortunate for him, but you need to deal with the facts. You now need to go to regard him if you're a manager as a squad player, because he's maybe only available 20 games, 30 games a season. So you need a right-sided central defender, big, proper central midfielder, proper central midfielder, and a proper number 9. Callum Osborne, unfortunately, the kids get in you, it's a shame. Johnny Kenny's banging them in. But with the greatest respect, is this the level that Celtic now see themselves at? Well, that's their number 9? Surely not. Absolutely not. It can't be. They've got to be regarded as squad players, as good guys to help do a job, but not a Celtic number 9. So there's 3 key positions for a kick-off.
And the goalkeeper, would he?
I like Sinisalo.
Yeah,
I would give Sinisalo. I know they've been linked with Ortega at Man City at the weekend. I think it's a fantastic goalkeeper, by the way. If they could get him at £1 million, I would do it all day long. Angus Gunn has been linked with him as well. Who'd be so? But I like Sinisalo. They may well feel that he's maybe not ready to go and play 50 games a season.
Caps as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I like him. I don't have a problem with Sinisalo. And Schmeichel was outstanding against Rangers in the Cup semi-final. Had his best game of the season. But for me, the starting point now, if you're a new manager or if you're part of the recruitment team, right-sided central defender, a central midfielder, and a number 9. And by the way, no excuses. Go and get it done in January.
And I think this is the reason Celtic should be way ahead, almost very close to announcing someone, because whoever it is, 2 or 3 or 4 candidates that they might be looking at, maybe 2 we've heard of, maybe an underdog, someone that we haven't heard of before. I mean, the Wilfried Nancy, whose name has come out today, no one's really heard of him before. We're all looking to see what experience he's got, but I think that's the route they're definitely going to go down. Get someone who's a head coach, who's got an excellent CV and will work within the current structure.
Stevie's on the line from Craigend. Hi, Stevie.
How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, pretty good,
Hi,
I would
Stevie.
say. Stevie, you were thinking Scotland when you came on there. We might come back to Celtic in a moment, but I like your view about Greece and Denmark.
Oh, honestly, it's just, see, again, obviously, you do well in the last wee sort of international break, and then you're going, right, but we've still got something to play for. You look forward to the next one. But I mean, these 2 games are massive. Obviously, buzzing. Not me know they sit and go. They're on the council telly, as we call it. You know what I mean? I think everybody. I sell stuff in every pub in Scotland. Everybody's behind them. So and you say to yourself, Billy dropping out. It's a blow, guys. But again, the guys he's brought in. And I say that to the guy that answered the phone there. It could be like a wee bit of breath of fresh air and give a new dynamic to the team. Get the excitement going. Because the boys must be turning up and sitting saying, right, we're going to Greece. They've got nothing to play for. They were the favourites to win the group. And we're now looking to beat them to go on a do or die. Because we're taking the Denmark, we're going to take care of Belarus. You know what I mean? But it's just going to be a shootout. And I remember the Italy game, I don't know if Andy and Mark remember, but Glasgow went nuts. I was doing at Glasgow Green. My big mate's passed away, the big Derek man, and we were there, and I was covered in beer, when we scored the goal and it got chopped off, and I was like, I'm soaking here, but the goal doesn't even count, you know what I mean? And but when Barry scored, I was in the tent at Glasgow Green, guys, and it was just bouncing. So obviously everybody
Memories.
turned into their own wee pundit, when they gave away a free kick. But it's something I just think, they knew, fair enough, Celtic Rangers are dealing with what they're dealing with, but I just think it's just time now that we just turn our focus to the guys, and getting us to the World Cup.
Right, be positive. 6 out of 6, you reckon? Mark?
I think Mark said the last time I spoke to him, 4 out of 6, is that right, Mark?
Yeah.
4, drawn Saturday night and a win at Hampden on Tuesday, and we're there. We're through. We win. We win the group. Yeah, I remember the game you're talking about was qualification for Euro 2008. Scotland had to beat Italy at Hampden, and Italy won the game. Controversial circumstances with the referee.
It was questionable, wasn't it?
Yeah, Big Alan McLeish was the man. And Scotland had a great campaign that time. Remember, beat France home and away. Gary Caldwell at Hampden and James McFadden in Paris.
Any good goals? Any special goals? Peter Martin did well in that one, didn't he? In fact, Andy, you as well.
I was
you were
in the
on
stadium.
It.
You and I, Andy,
Peter
were
was in top
co-coms.
form. That's right.
You and I were
great.
co-coms.
Can you do it for us? Let's hear it.
No, I can't do that.
Pick it out, Landro. But but getting to this weekend, it's a fantastic situation to be in. I think that we've not quite hit fever pitch yet, Paul, because the first game's away from home, and we need to get the job done then. But if Scotland and Steve Clarke, the boys, get it done on Saturday night, they land back in Glasgow on Sunday, you know, the 72-hour build up to the game will be something pretty special.
It will indeed. It's probably good, Andy, we don't get too carried away too soon.
We're good enough to go there and get a win. Obviously the worst we want is a draw, but remember, Greece are good. I don't know the psyche, the mentality. I don't know whether they might want to try out some players. I don't know whether they want to have some sort of self-respect and beat Scotland at home, give their supporters a bit of a lift. I mean, remember, it wasn't too long ago they came to Hampden and won 3-0, I think, in that Nations League playoff. So they do have a lot of talent, and I know that we are under pressure to get a point, but I think it's something we're capable of.
And they're a nation, Mark, as you well remember, who lifted the European trophy, the Euros
2004.
That's it. We were there.
Portugal.
We were at the matches. Ronaldo was playing then. He's still playing. I see next year's going to be his final tournament. He's just been saying today.
He's on 255 caps at the moment.
Wow.
255. It's incredible when you talk about players turning up for their work and players putting their country. He's an excellent attendance record and what a top quality player. So for him to bow out if Portugal beat Republic of Ireland on Thursday, they've qualified. They'll be in the draw on December the 5th. But I just honestly, we're all the same. You just love Scotland to be there. It's great to hear Stevie getting ready, the enthusiasm for it, which over the next couple of days it'll really come to the fore. And I think we can definitely get a point on Saturday night.
Stevie, thanks for your call.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Save big with 6 chili cheese bites for just £1.99. Crispy on the outside, smooth and spicy on the inside. Exclusively on the app.
Let's go! This time tomorrow night, Peter Grant will be here along with Billy Dodds. Tonight, it's Andy Walker and Mark Guidi. Still looking back at last weekend. And Andy, you saw Hearts. Are they champions in waiting?
I thought they were. Well, they've been better, but I still thought they were good to watch. I think Derek was very bold in his starting 11. He played with Kizaridis and Shankland and Kabori and Braga, 4 very forward-thinking players. There was a level of excitement with the Hearts supporters that you could sense even before a ball was kicked. But I've got to say, I was really impressed with Dundee United, especially Lucas Stevenson, the young lad. I think he's about 22. He's on loan from Liverpool. He can play as a wing back. He played as a right back, but he got himself forward so often, and he played really well. He scored a great goal. It was well worked, a lovely finish, and it was a really enjoyable game. And United certainly deserved at least a point.
Mark, overall, I was asking the guys last night, Charlie and Barry, the Hearts, can Celtic catch them? And of course, both said yes. And could Rangers catch Hearts? And could they still win the title? But what about Hearts? What do you feel?
I think they've dropped points. It's fine. Obviously, it was a game they would be expected to win, but you've got to credit what they've done in the previous 10 games or so to get them into the situation where they're still got a nice lead over Celtic and a good lead over Rangers. But of course, Hearts could still win the league. Celtic could still win it. Rangers, I'd probably say, Paul, now looking at it, I would say 60% Celtic, 30 Hearts, 10% Rangers in terms of the title. But the Hearts next month, Paul, they go to Celtic Park the week before the League Cup final, and then Rangers go to Tynecastle on Sunday the 21st of December. So next month, massive month for Hearts. But look, I know it's an old cliche, but they're all big games now, aren't they? When you've got the 3 at the top, everybody expecting Hearts to crash and burn pretty quickly. But I think I've said also, I didn't say they were going to win the league. What I said was they'll be in the mix, and it'll take something special from Celtic to go and topple them.
And I think when you look at the first round of games, what Hearts did, they beat Celtic, they beat Hibs at Tynecastle, they beat Rangers at Ibrox. So this is us now on our second run of games. They beat Dundee United at Tannadice as well. So getting United at home, getting a draw, and you could sense the real disappointment from the Hearts fans as well. And that is something that you need to carry as a supporter as well as a player. This, if you're thinking of the biggest prize, you need all the supporters behind you. But you could sense that wee bit of extra edge from them, because they didn't expect to lose a couple of points to Dundee United at Tynecastle.
Hearts on 30 points, as you know, after 12. Celtic on 23, but the game in hand. Hibs on 18 after 12. Rangers a game in hand on 18 as well. So Hibs and Hearts could be battling it out for the top dogs. Andy, your old team in Edinburgh. Hibs were impressive, although I felt for St Mirren some of the VAR decisions were, I know it was very, very close.
Yeah.
But
listen, you can even go back to the Celtic Rangers game, the cup final, and we should be happy we've got controversy. I don't think you put any referee in the position of making those big decisions, and you will always get people saying, I would have done something differently. Well, you need to have someone making a decision, and unless it's outrageous, you don't really expect VAR to get involved. And I think VAR can be better. I think the use of it can be better. Sometimes you do look at some of the lines that are drawn, and you would just like to see more cameras. But this is what the clubs are paying for. And my goodness, if you can't trust the technology, we're as well chucking it.
And Mark, last night we did mention in the programme that Rangers Chiefs want another meeting with the SFA about the decisions at the Cup semi-final 10 days ago. What's it going to achieve?
Well, yeah, what are they expecting? Will they call him to change his mind from what he told them in the first meeting? I don't know. I don't get it, Paul. You've had a meeting, unless they've got something that's just come to their attention or whatever. I don't know, but having it means fine. Yeah, as a football club, do what you feel is necessary. If you're a football club, absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that. Hierarchies, doing that. But I'm not quite sure what they're hoping to
obviously
achieve.
Sorry, the KMI panel ruled 2-1, didn't they, that the trustee decision was wrong, that he should have had a red card, and maybe that's what they wanted to say. But I don't know where you can take it.
I don't know. You can't re-referee the game. They can't throw Celtic out and put Rangers into the cup final against St Mirren to the 14th. Let us say, unless there's something else coming to their attention. But it'll be good to have dialogue. It's always good for the clubs to have dialogue with Willie Collum, the referees chief. You can see. I mean, I watch quite often Paul Dermot Gallagher on the telly on the Monday morning on Sky when it's mainly the English games they cover. But what we've got to remember is, we've got VAR, and there's certain things, particularly down south, because they get better technology than us, where VAR is factual. But other than that, even when VAR gets involved, 99% is still down to opinion. It's still down to opinion.
Well, for example, I thought the Virgil van Dijk goal should have stood. And they have VAR, they have more cameras, of course, but you've still got interpretation. You've still got that opinion. I think it should have stood, but
Andy Robertson agreed.
Andy Robertson agreed, of course. But you will always get this debate, and actually, see if you don't agree with the on-field decision, do you have a right, because you've just got a different opinion, to say, "Oh, you're wrong"? And this is what I say sometimes: there's no right and there's no wrong. There's a decision that it's controversial, and you can look at it and you can understand it. It might not be your decision, but you can understand why it was given.
That was my point when we were on last week. I think it was Andy's point as well, to be honest. But the controversy of the League Cup semi-final with Celtic and Rangers, 4 or 5 big calls that are, we're still debating and
on both
talking
sides
about. So like I said, for me, the only absolute one was a red card that was given to Asgard. Apart from that, the Cornelius tackle, the trustee challenge, the penalty that Rangers got, all on-field decisions at the time. Had the referee given the opposite, as in a red to Cornelius, a red to trustee, no penalty, I wouldn't have argued with that. Because it's opinion. But you see, as Andy says, okay, I maybe don't agree with it. I think that should have been a red. However, I understand why it's here. I don't think that was a pen, but you can see why a pen's. I'm not sitting on the fence, but it is opinion.
I also thought it was really interesting, and I think it was Don Robertson, the St Mirren Motherwell League Cup semi-final, where the first goal from Motherwell was given, the on-field decision from Don Robertson was given, and VAR thought, no, I think I've seen a foul there. And so the referee comes over, he looks at it, and he says, no, I'm going to stand by my original decision.
You like that?
And I like to see that. That to me, he hasn't made an absolute ricket. And I think if you've not made an absolute mess of it, and hey, listen, Paul, you need to come over and change your decision. You've made a real mess of it. Absolutely, that's what VAR is for. But not just for a different opinion.
I asked Andy about this because you went to the initial VAR briefings.
Oh, that was years ago.
In the days when they said it was clear and obvious.
Look at that now. How many years ago was that in England? And I was down at the one at Stockley Park, and they're still debating the use of VAR.
My question was about drawing the line, and I know Michael Stewart, he was involved in it. He had a view on it the other night. I know he's now apologised, but I know what they were saying about drawing the line. So how do they know when's the point of contact?
I think there's a fraction of a second when when any player looks to kick the ball, and I think it's a human that draws the line. And then you can press a button and it's Hawkeye. The system will tell you whether it's onside or offside. So it's not a human making that decision. And honestly, I trust the technology 100%. If you can't trust the technology, I mean, there's no way any of the clubs would buy into it. And I think if you look at VAR, what's a good use of VAR? When have you seen VAR? And I think we should probably highlight a really good use of VAR when you see it. And to me, Falkirk against Kilmarnock, Falkirk scored the first goal. And the linesman gave it offside. VAR proved that he was onside. You look at St Mirren Hearts, and Hearts, when they got it back to 2-2, Hearts scored their third goal, I think, through Kabore. But I think when you see it in the replay, you can see that Mullen is offside. It's really tight, but he's offside, and you will always be able to sell to every manager, every coach, every player. You can sell a fact to them. It's offside. It might be really tight. My goodness, he's running in the opposite direction, but it's a fact, and you'll always buy into that.
Let's get one more call in just ahead of the news. Hi, Robbie. Good evening.
Good evening, Pat. All right, Andy and Mark. How's it going, guys? All right?
Hey, Robbie.
Good. How are you, Robbie?
Not too bad, Andy. I want to make my point to you, actually. It's just about sports science and the modern game compared to, like, for example, I'll bring in the centenary season when you were playing, Andy, and it was a very, very smaller squad, 2 substitutes. But, Andy, put me correct, if you will, but see, back in the days, I know that now and again, Mark McGee would come in for you or McAvenny, and obviously Lex Bailey was still around at that time, one of the spare centre-halves, but what is it with the modern game, Andy, that there's all these hamstrings? Obviously, it's an extreme example I'm giving you over the last few weeks with Sarachi and Johnson and Gallagher. But see when I think you're going back to the centenary season, I was just a young boy, and I was at all the games there. I only missed about 3 games in that full season. But, I mean, even though the squad was weird, you're more susceptible to... Obviously, if the squads are bigger these days, you're more susceptible to more players on the park and everything's more intense. And medical science and all that's went up, Andy. I'm just wondering, what is your opinion on it? Because I can't mind the serious injuries, 3-4 boys out the hamstring injuries back in the centenary season, or even
Andy?
beyond.
Yeah, Andy?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point, Robbie, but I would always buy into modern methods of sports science. Anything that might improve the level of performance from a player. I think, having said that, there's a mentality of a player, for example, a Roy Aitken, who... Paul McStay, these guys never missed a day at training, never mind missing a game. So there was a mentality there, and they're not 100% fit every day of their lives. They might be able to carry something. Hopefully it doesn't develop into something worse. But I mean, Paul had the ultimate. He had to finish his career with an ankle injury. So I think player welfare is. I think it's a good debate these days, because the amount of games at the very top players are playing, Robbie, international players, it's almost all year round. You're not going to get a break at the end of this season. You're going right into a World Cup. You're back earlier for pre-season. You're still playing games, but no, I think it was different then. We didn't have a very large squad, and I'm sure if you offered it to any manager, they want as many options as possible. But I do think there's a different mentality now. I can remember 1 or 2 foreign players who they wouldn't play unless they were 100%. And who's to say they're right or wrong? They might have a little strain, but they don't want to aggravate it. Andy Tom was a wonderful player, wonderful teammate, and in fact, his daughter and my daughter were very pally at school. But it was always interesting listening to them and how they approached wanting to play big games.
He was a brilliant player. Robbie, we're out of time. The news is coming up. Peter Grant actually mentioned him the other week about the talent that he has. But he said, in trouble with the fingernail and he was off. But what a player. I've just defended his daughter's friend, Mark. I've had a nightmare the first hour. I'll see if Rob's available for hour 2. If not, we'll get rid of Andy and we'll get Peter in. Thanks, Robbie.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Enjoy the £5.99 regular Whopper meal. Juicier than ever and bursting with flavour, with fries and a drink. Only on the app.
Let's go! The Flame Grilled Whopper from Burger King. The most food-filling burger.
Is it, though?
Is that?
Yes. A slightly better version of you.
I don't understand.
Just like the new Whopper that's juicier and tastier than ever before. Same, but hits different. That's my line now.
Oh, sorry.
Whopper never tasted so good. Order now on the Burger King app.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Save big with 6 chili cheese bites for just £1.99. Crispy on the outside, smooth and spicy on the inside. Exclusively on the app.
Let's go!
Hour 2, Paul Cooney, Mark Guidi and Andy Walker. Lots of Rangers fans coming on to ask Andy, as a former striker, what do you make of Rangers up front? What are they going to do? Chermiti, is it 1 goal so far? Danilo, flatters to deceive maybe.
Who do you trust? I mean, you speak to any Rangers supporter. Who do you trust? And you can't trust Chermiti. He looks as though he's got good qualities. He's been given ample opportunity so far. It's certainly taken him a lot of time to settle, to look as though he's going to score on a regular basis. Big games happen almost every week with Rangers. The European one during last week, he just looked short. And then you've got Danilo, who I thought scored a lovely goal recently, but you think you'll not see him again for 5 or 6 weeks, because again, he's another player they've spent a lot of money on, but he does not score regularly, he doesn't score heavily. And this is a lot of money Rangers have spent in that position.
Mark, we know the story. Before we know it, we'll be talking about the January transfer window. Rangers shelled out around 30 million during the summer, 20 million net. Are the strikers going to come good, Miofsky and Chermiti?
No, I can't see it. Miofsky, maybe, but some people say that he's not really. Danny Rowe, he's still to convince Danny Rowe that he's got what it takes. I thought I said last week, Paul, I think just now, if you were picking a Rangers team tonight to play in a game, I'd have Danilo as my number 1 striker. But bigger picture, is he a title winning number 9? No, he's not. He unfortunately, attendance record isn't good enough. You could argue his best days are behind him, but I would say just now he looks the best out of the 3. But there's no doubt, Paul, I know Danny Rowe's going to try to kind of bat it away. But again, if you're serious, if Rangers are in the mix come January, even if they're not, you've just got to go and build a proper squad, a title winning squad. They need to go and get a right good number 9 in. 6
teams in the Scottish top flight have scored more than Rangers. So, and I know we're not anywhere near the end of the season, but you would think after 12 games for most of them, you would think Rangers would have scored more heavily given the amount of investment they've made there.
Raskin, Moore and Gassama scoring at the weekend at Dens Park. Here's the manager. He was happy certainly with the result.
I'm happy. I think now 3 wins in a row in the league, 2 clean sheets away. I think it's fantastic to score 3 goals. It's good, but of course by the second half you can speak about improvements. This is good that we have still space for improvements, but to take 9 points now from the last 3 games, it's massive.
I mean, you think, Paul, that certainly if Barry Ferguson had remained in charge, they were going to sign Lon Shanklin, and certainly he was a name put to Philippe Clement, and they may well have been put to the new Rangers. But certainly Kevin Thelwell would have been aware of him, given that he'd already started to work up here. Now, when you think, and I know Lon Shanklin didn't have a great season last season, but you look at his CV, given the fact he was a free transfer, he was available in a Bosnia. You were just talking about a wage, it would be a nice wage, but you weren't having to give him 30 grand a week. Rangers really, really messed up.
And no transfer fee.
Yeah, free transfer.
Zippo.
They really messed up in that one.
Who's the top scorer in Scotland at the moment? Lawrence Shankland. 10 goals. Andy? It's never as simple as that, but you do wonder.
I like the way he's leading the line. I've always liked his game outside the box. He had a tough time, last season when he was exceptional the season before. But this is him. He's back in the Scotland squad. He might get a bit of game time in the next two really important games that we've got against Greece and Denmark. But yeah, he looks to be the top man at Hearts, and they've got a lot of talented players there. Danny
Rule was asked about title challenge. Is it back on for Rangers?
Yeah, at first I'm very happy that we took now 3 wins. I think when I'm arrived we had 8 points. Now we had 9 points in 3 games. I think this is huge. Even to have clean sheets, it's helpful. To score 3-0, it's good. But our expectation is high. I'm here to building up something, not just wins. We want to do more, but it takes steps. And I think this is also important to understand after wins that we are not straight in one direction, after lose in other direction. I think we need a good balance, and I want to see a step forwards. And at the moment I see step forwards, even it's not everything perfect.
And of course, Andy, as you know, they've got home games, Livy, Braga and Falkirk for Rangers, so the title charge could be on.
Well, they'll certainly improve. I think this is a guy who's in charge of the team, and I think the fans are buying into him very quickly. He does seem to have given them a little bit of a bounce. They're desperate for someone to love, and maybe this is a guy. But of course, you will only do it with big results. And the European stuff has been so disappointing, given how impressive Rangers have been in Europe over the last number of years.
Mikey Moore spoke after getting his first goal for Rangers.
Yeah, I was buzzing to finally get on the score sheet, and a bit relieved in a way, because it's been a while since I last scored. So yeah, I was over the moon.
And he spoke about, it took a bit of time for him to settle in at Ibrox.
Yeah, I think it was a difficult start for me, and I don't think I showed anywhere near what I know I can do. And I think mentally it's been unbelievable for me. It's a massive club, and I think it's strengthened me up a lot, because it's the first bit of probably the toughest time I've been through. So now I'm happy to be coming out of it, but now I need to keep on going and performing.
You've been impressed by him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a kid, he came here from Spurs, and we were all talking about it at the time. Okay, so why are Spurs letting one of their best young talents come here? It's obviously they think he's going to get a lot of game time. You thought he's going to be have a pivotal role to play under Russell Martin. It never really worked out that way, and it's obviously you can hear a young lad. I think he's just 18. It's been playing in his mind, Paul, which is only natural. You're coming up here, it's a massive club. You look at everything that's been going on as well, surrounding the club, on and off the park. So it's been, it's been a testing time for the kid, and for him to go and get his goal on Sunday afternoon. Obviously, there you can hear what it means to him, and I hope that gives him a chance to go and kick on, because he is a threat, he is a talent, and Paul, when you think about it, what Rangers have got coming up, taking the European games out of the equation. Rangers have got a chance between now and January the 3rd to really get themselves right back into the mix. They play Hearts and they play Celtic. That's what you want. You need to go and beat your rivals, to go and show that you've got something about you. So it's a massive, once we come out of this international break, a massive 6 weeks for Danny Rule and for Rangers.
Yeah, building momentum. That's what he was asked about.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think even in our performances, we're playing better, and we're picking up points in the league. So we just need to keep building on that and taking it game by game, because we look too far ahead, then might disrupt your performances.
And Andy, we're getting to know the head coach now, Danny Rule, and the way he approaches things, and he makes changes at half time. He explained them afterwards.
Yeah, I had the feeling after 45 minutes to make straight a signal on the half time, because it was not for me to keep just the 2-0. I said, guys, we have to score the 3-0, the 4-0, be on front foot, and that was the reason why I try to make this impact, to give the signal. And my players know, I think now more and more, that even you are not a starter, you have a chance for 45 minutes, or you start. That means not that you play through. It was just about this impact from outside.
He's picking up on that point, Andy, but they need more goals.
Yeah, they need better players. He's assessing everyone. He'll make a judgment on who he can trust when you really want to win big games, when you're under a bit of pressure. And this is one of the reasons that I think he's putting on players when he thinks it might be comfortable for them. You can't imagine Rangers going up to Dundee and losing a 2-goal lead, and then they actually went on to win very comfortably. But he's still assessing his players, and you do wonder. I mean, we've been talking about the strikers, Chermiti, Danilo, Miovski. I don't think you can spend any more money in the forward area. We've spoken about it before, and I think if you're looking at the immediate area where you want to strengthen Rangers, it's got to be in the heart of that defence. You've got to have better, stronger players that you can rely on, less mistakes, and that goes for everyone who's playing in that back four.
Can he make the existing squad better? Mark's one of the big questions, isn't it?
Well, that'll be one of the reasons why he's been brought in, to go and coach and to improve players. You get their levels of confidence higher. Get them more game aware. Because you look at some of the Rangers players, Paul, you'd have to think that surely there's a lot of improvement in them. Otherwise, they shouldn't. Why are they anywhere near a Rangers jersey? I think there's 2 or 3 that you could just write off and you could try and move out. If I don't know if there is an opportunity to sign the Giga. Back to Wales. They spent, what was it, £3 million in Emmanuel from Peterborough. Nowhere to be seen. So I don't know if you can get him at the door, at least put him in loan.
$3 million?
I think so.
Wow.
Max Sarins in loan from Bournemouth.
Big wages.
Big wage. Not for me. So there's certainly a few. I like Big Cornelius at the back. I think he's been, maybe the biggest success story. Gassama, I think, is good as well. A real threat for them in the final third. But there's still a lot of work to be done. But they really can, as I said, Paul, in the next 5-6 weeks, Rangers can be right into the mix, or they could find themselves even further behind.
Andy, you mentioned earlier on about young Scots players coming through. Finlay Curtis, what's happened?
Well, he was given an opportunity in around the early weeks of the season. I thought he took it. I thought he looked as though he had something to offer. He got a couple of goals. The European goal where he carried the ball for maybe 10-15 yards and put it into the faraway corner. It looked as though it was a big moment for him. He got one at St Mirren when he came on as a sub, I think. But you've got Mikey Moore there, and it seems as though he's on loan from a bigger club. You're developing Mikey Moore for Spurs. I don't think he's going to sign a long-term contract here at Rangers, and this is a problem that young players have. And my advice to any young player is you've got to play. If Finlay Curtis is not going to get a game at Rangers, if he's going to be very much a bit part player, you need to go out on loan. You need to see if you can play. If you want a career, you need to see if you can play on a weekly basis at a really good level, and have your teammates respect you, have your opponents respect you as a really good player.
Mark, this time last year we were talking about Bailey Rice, and probably the year before as well. There's a succession of players who come in, see a little bit of them.
That's right.
Let's hope it works. But for whatever reason, you must feel a bit for Finlay Curtis.
You do, yeah. A lot of the Rangers fans really liked him, Paul. I think we all like to see players coming through an academy and being given a chance. And sometimes, which is unfair on boys, at academies, sometimes a manager will stick with or give more opportunities to a player he has signed to justify the signing, to make the recruitment look better rather than giving them one that's under our nose. But these young guys in all walks of life at big clubs, at Rangers, they've got to persevere, they've really got to dig in, they've got to have a strong mentality, and obviously they've got to have good ability.
Yeah. The manager did speak about getting close to having his best 11. I mean, I'm not sure that anyone would talk about a best 11 anymore, but I think I know what he means.
I think you come closer, you see more and more which players have the potential and which players has to improve. I think this is now, and I started yesterday in the evening to put all my notes together, what is strength, what is potential from players, what we have to improve. I think with just 11 players we will not win a lot of games. You need the full squad, and this is for me the reason why I want to, and I try to improve everyone. At the moment, I think we can speak about Mikey, for example. He makes a huge step. He scored today, but also other players growing up, and it goes in the right direction.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, Daniel, still, he's still in the process, Paul, of of assessing. He'll know for sure if a few people look. I can count on them. I can rely on them. They're solid. They're good performance. They'll help me get to where we need to go between now and the end of the season. There'll be a few that he'll probably say, no, not for me, not good enough. We'll try and get them out the door. And there'll be 2 or 3 who think, I'm not quite sure yet. I like some things, some things I'm not so sure about. But certainly getting back to the point you asked a couple of minutes ago, he and his staff are there to improve players. He'll need to work with some of the things that he's got, because he can't go and clean it all out. He can't go, so there'll be some that he'll have to work with, and that's where his credentials as a coach and his qualities as a coach will be in the spotlight.
Darren's on, a Rangers fan, saying, guys, I need to ask you, do you think that Danny Rule is going to be here for quite some time? He likes Darren so far says so good. Andy, can you see him having a long, good career here?
You always like to see managers, coaches getting a really fair crack of the whip, and sometimes you can make. I think Danny Rule can improve Rangers in the way they're playing. They might not win anything, but I think you can see that they're a better team. Now there's a big dilemma for you, because obviously it doesn't go on for long. The only other manager I can think of that got time was Steven Gerrard. It took him 3 years to get a title. It was a big one, and it was celebrated as though he was one of their own. But he left Rangers having won 1 out of 9 trophies. I don't think you speak to any Rangers fan, they tell you that's not acceptable. But this current squad, I don't think is capable of challenging Celtic and Hearts in the long run. Hearts have got off to a racing start. I'm sure they'll do a bit of business in the January window. So you've got to win games, of course, but I think you can. I think a lot of people can see over a period of time, this guy knows what he's doing. This football is quite good. We haven't won anything, but I think you can buy into that.
Mark, the Steven Gerrard situation is exceptional. He was given time that no other manager has ever probably been given in recent years, and maybe ever will again. And he was the one that the Rangers fans wanted back. Remember, they were saying Barry Ferguson, Steven Gerrard, and then Russell Martin or whatever. There's this thing about Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, he's revered. He brought the title to Rangers. He stopped Celtic from doing 10 in a row. 55th title at Rangers, and the Rangers fans, most of them would have welcomed him with open arms 3 or 4 weeks ago when it was linked with the job again of making a return. And you're right, because you look at it, apart from Steven Gerrard, who's Rangers' most successful manager in the past decade, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. But the Rangers fans wanted him out. The Rangers hierarchy at that time were seduced by Michael Beale. And that turned out to be a horrendous decision. They should have stuck with Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, given what he had given to the club in terms of getting them into the Champions League, making them tens of millions of pounds in the transfer market, and winning a Scottish Cup. So Danny Rule, as much as he's come in and very, very, very unlikely Rangers will win the title, but the Scottish Cup's there, Paul, and Rangers should be expecting under Danny Rule this season to go and win the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, because he'll be measured on trophies. Yeah, either the league, preferably if you're a Rangers fan, or the Scottish Cup or the League Cup.
So you don't think you can stick by someone who you can see they're playing really good football? They might have ran Celtic and Hearts really close, but unless you win something, then you can't stick by them. Is that that the option?
I think this season with Danny Rule, if he continues to improve, I think the Rangers fans would give him time. I would imagine. If they were miles behind in the league, no matter what happens, I mean, the squad is not great, is it? It's not a great squad.
No,
would that be fair?
I don't think so.
No,
but I think, well, I would answer that by saying this time next year, if Rangers are where they are, Danny Rule will be out of job, because that's what the Rangers fans, they'll give them so much time, and then the owners will capitulate. Now, Russell Martin had to go. It was clear for everyone. It just wasn't working. But there's evidence. Other managers where you think, and as you say, Paul, the only one who's been the exception to the rule in the past decade has been Steven Gerrard. And that's why when they were looking the last time, I thought, okay, Steven Gerrard, a Barry Ferguson, they'll give the hierarchy that time where the supporters will give them very much the benefit of the doubt. So far, Danny Rule is flavour of the month. The Rangers support really buying into him. They've given him tremendous vocal support. But in order for that to continue, Rangers need to win big games and bring silverware to the club.
I think one of the people under big pressure is Kevin Thelwell, because he's got a lot of responsibility, he's got a lot of say, he's got a lot of sway with who is going to come into the club. And you might look at some of the really big signings and think, hang on a minute, that's poor judgment. Who carries the can for that? Do you bin the manager because you can't get something out of a player that the director of football wanted to bring in? It's and of course you're seeing a lot of aggravation, a lot of anger being directed towards so many people away from the dugout, the directors, the owner, this new ownership that they have.
But you're right, it's just 3 years ago just now, manager of Rangers was GVB. Giovanni was still there under a bit of pressure, but we went into, remember the World Cup was coming in November in Qatar, and that's when the news came through that he'd gone.
I mean, supposedly, but I mean, I don't know if Giovanni's on record as confirming this. I know he's not given too many interviews since he left Rangers or was sacked by Rangers, but supposedly the story goes that you're right, it was a World Cup in Qatar, November, December 2022, and going into the World Cup break, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was told before he went away on a short family holiday, you're fine. There was a bit of pressure on him, but he was told, you're fine, get back to work once we resume for the second half of the season, and let's go and try and kick on. And then 2 or 3 days later he was told he'd lost his job.
Wow. Not long after that Aberdeen game, and Michael Beale was
someone makes the call, someone makes a decision.
I wonder what happened.
Well, I have no idea what happened, but someone in authority brought it to the table and said, we need to get rid of him, and the others agreed.
Also at Celtic fans still saying, what happened 2 weeks ago? They know about the Dundee result and then the Hearts result, and actually Jim's been on in Kirklook saying, how could Rangers go and win 3-0 and Celtic lose there 2-0 just 3 weeks ago, and then the Hearts result. But Brendan Rodgers was doing the job, getting ready for the match, the midweek match with Falkirk, and then suddenly he was gone on the Monday. Mark, it's going to be a novel someday, isn't it, or a chapter in somebody's book.
There's clearly been a conversation between Brendan and I would imagine Michael Nicholson at that stage. Now whether Brendan's offered his resignation and said, you know what, I've looked at it, I've looked at the fixture list coming up, and he's like, I've maybe just taken the squad as far as I can go. I've lost a bit of my mojo because I really wanted more quality in. I feel let down by the hierarchy, and
he said the week before, I've never been more committed.
But clearly he's not been. Something's been brewing, Paul, and eventually it's got to a point. So you know what, and maybe for the sake of the players, maybe they need something fresh of support. Maybe they need, and it's whatever it is.
Rangers game,
I think
6
it was the
days
right
away.
decision. I was sorry to see Brendan Rodgers go, because I think he's a top coach, and take it away over his 2 spells. Always think back to look at what he inherited in the summer of 2016 when he took over. He inherited a title winning squad, but it was a broken squad. There was 30,000 fans turning up at Celtic Park. He revitalised everything, including Scott Brown and all those guys. So, and then what he delivered, I think it was 11 trophies he delivered in his 2 spells. So
13.
He was outstanding. Look at what he achieved in Europe last season. But I think for whatever reason it reached the end of the road. They've now got Martin O'Neill in with the young coaching staff round about him, and so far it's worked out very well. Beat Rangers in the Cup semi-final. Had it been Brendan Rodgers' team, you probably think Rangers probably would have won that game.
But he must have felt he would go and win
far.
that. And Falkirk had been his best result so far in terms of the performance. Remember in the League Cup right at the beginning, I just find that, a week of an Old Firm game, Glasgow Derby, do you really decide to go? But he has done, and that's happened. Some Celtic fans on asking. At the moment, nobody knows.
But you know what, Paul, as well with that, and we don't know what happens. Is it garden leave? Has he been paid up? Is he getting nothing at all? I don't know. That's none of my business. But I think you also have to commend Brendan Rodgers if he's initiated the conversation to say, you know what, whether it's my sake, the squad's sake, the supporters' sake, whatever, I think I've maybe done as much as I can do here, because someone just hang on to make sure I'm getting my payoff, I'm getting my money. Now I don't know, maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but I think he should be commended, because I'm pretty certain he initiated the conversation.
It makes a mockery of the statement that we do everything in a world-class manner. I mean, the very personal statement that was on Celtic's website was just aimed at one man to it was so insulting, and very unedifying, and not something that you would associate with. Well, it's my club, and I've been in there. I've seen some of the people that have worked there over the years. Really good quality people, and you're not getting that warmth. You're not getting that warmth these days, which I find really sad.
Go Radio Football Show.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Enjoy the £5.99 regular Whopper meal. Juicier than ever and bursting with flavour, with fries and a drink. Only on the app. Let's go!
Peter Grant will be ripping it up here tomorrow night, along with Billy Dodds. The two of them are going at each other last week a little bit over the, should it have been Cornelius? What should have happened? A trustee, all that ding dong. It was a good battle.
Oh, I could imagine.
Last week,
Yeah, getting right in that.
Those two.
So was Doddsy saying just a yellow for trustee and a red for Cornelius? And Peter was saying the opposite,
The lawyers are watching, Mark Guidi. Yeah. Those days, remember they used to say that in Playport. Lawyers are watching,
right. I like
the ding dong battle.
I like Billy Dodds, a lot of time for him, and Grant as well.
Is it still ding dong between the Record and the Sun and all that, and straying into territory that it used to be, the two biggest selling newspapers were?
Yeah, I was at the past president's lunch today. All the football writers. A new president, Roger Hanna of the Sun, is a new president.
I bumped into him last week in the street. I gave him an autograph. No, it was good to see him. Fine journalist.
Of course, he's more famous for his back page story.
Indeed, yes, indeed.
In recent times, but good appointment taking over from Sir Charles Young.
Chick Young, never heard of him. No.
So Roger, good appointment. But the Record and the Sun's still the two biggest selling papers in the country.
I still buy the papers in the morning, so I'm not sure why I'm telling you that, but I can't remember the last time
I bought any paper.
No, even the Sunday. I still
never do a
every
Sunday.
week I still get the Sunday papers.
Exactly. You've got to, haven't you? You've got to. I mean, members of the National Union of Journalists, Mark, weren't we?
Still am. Still am.
I was the steward, the father of the chapel. That's what they called it, wasn't it? That was the shop steward.
Absolutely.
In case you're phoning to complain, that's what that was.
God, I remember being out.
I can remember
out strike 14-15 years ago. At the Sunday Mail, we were out in strike.
When I was at Motherwell, when I was at Celtic, and every time you went away in the summer, you would buy a paper, even abroad.
Remember that?
It might have been a day late. But you needed to hear something that was going on.
The day late, I won't say, that was used to shout things about them. But Chick Young, how is Sir Charles? He
was in good form. He was in good form.
I heard him in Radio Scotland. I see them going with the championship games and all that. He's one of the finest.
He retired 7-8 years ago and has never been busier.
Is that right? He's still out in the boat and all that as well. Chick Young,
forever young.
What a man,
Brilliant.
I met him last summer on holiday.
Yes,
I was in Malaga,
in Barbados,
city of Malaga.
Was he in Malaga? Was it at the Picasso Museum?
He was just. He bought me a pint.
Good.
So
Chick is brilliant.
Good batch.
Honestly, we had some good fun with Chick on the radio over the years as well. And then he jumped to Dyke and he went to Radio Scotland. He got some deal, I'll tell you. I think. How did we get into this? The ding dong battle, and of course the Glasgow Times showing us all.
Times.
Yeah, the Evening Times. I think they call it the Glasgow Times now as well. Quite a few Rangers fans on saying about up front, give Danilo a chance, but they're not happy with the striking situation, and so much money has been spent. The 49ers and Kevin Thelwell, a few of them. I think it's maybe too early to call it just now, Mark, but you can tell. I saw the cameras turn to him at the weekend on Sky because, at the moment it's not Andrew Kavanagh they're looking at or whatever. It's Kevin Thelwell because he's the controlling mind in the football department.
Yeah, I mean, if things don't go, if Rangers don't go, continue an upward trajectory, the next guy to go will be Kevin Thelwell. Andrew Kavanagh isn't going to dismiss himself. The board aren't going to. So Kevin Thelwell, I think before the manager, if there's pressure coming towards someone, I think Kevin Thelwell will be very, very much in the firing line.
With young Jordan McKerry in here last night and Paul Gawkin, they paid some good money to be in here as guests on the show in a charity auction. And he was telling us he works at Dumbarton. And I said, how's the pitch? He said, it's magnificent. So I just see on Sky there, game goal. The game's waterlogged. Jordan, I hope you're listening. He did well last night.
Log head, I mean, it gives you a clue.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
I mean, I had to do that because he's a radio presenter on Lomond Radio, so I'm sure I'm not giving up for him. Keep on going. Yeah. Jordan was good, but not that good. No, you were. Actually, Jordan, you were brilliant last night. It was really good. and so was Paul as well. So yeah, it's raising a few quid, £1,500 the other week at an auction. So
excellent,
isn't it? It's great.
Well done.
So many different charities. Yeah, that's what I was in Dundee for today. Arnold Clarke giving away a £30,000 car to someone who did the kill. I don't know if I can say it just yet, but she was surprised today. It'll come out in the next few days. And she was getting £500 for a charity, which is Maggie's, the great work they do. Anne was there from Maggie's, and then we were able to tell her, you've got the £500, that's safe. Here's a brand new car from Arnold Clarke. It's amazing, wasn't it?
Great moment.
Honestly, they're phenomenal.
Brilliant, very generous.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. So thank you. Where are we going next? Help me out with this one. So we heard from Danny Rule. Shall we hear Martin O'Neill again? It is like in the time warp, isn't it? Let's go back to 2002. But Martin O'Neill back down. I saw he said, I'll go to a darkened room one day and just think about these couple of weeks or whatever it's going to be as manager of Celtic. So a big win at the weekend. He wanted energy, he said, from the start of the game.
No, they have. They've done great. Thought we'd try and just maybe start the game with maybe a little bit more energy of players that hadn't started. Luke, started the game today. He got very tired. Took a bit of a risk, really, on the Manchester City lad. Thought, well, if he can play centre half, maybe he can play out there. Got off to not a brilliant start to begin with, I thought about taking him off after 4 minutes, but don't tell him that. But no, he did fine. He actually did fine, and I think he got applauded off the pitch, which was nice. Not necessarily by me, but no, I was delighted. Honestly, really pleased.
Andy, what's your view on that as a former player?
And what?
Yeah, no, his sense of humour.
Oh, right. I mean, I think what he's done is he's made everyone relax now. Every time Brendan Rodgers was opening his mouth in the last number of weeks, even when Celtic had won games, there was always a little edge to it. I think what he's done is he's brought the supporters together. You only have to go to a Celtic game now, and pretty much throughout the 90 minutes, they're all shouting in praise of the manager. And he's brought something back there. There's a bit of warmth, I think, now. And you just want to be able to build on that. And obviously it starts with getting big results. They got one in the cup final. Bit of a blow in Europe because you want Celtic to be doing, what they did last season. Champions League, they were excellent. They were a real... They were giving themselves, they were giving Scottish football a bit of extra credibility with the results they were getting in Europe, but falling away this time round.
Certainly a warmth that was missing from the statements moments after he left the club. Obviously the one from Dermot Desmond. Mark, you know him well. You still work with Martin O'Neill at different football events or whatever. He really has. The Celtic fans are chanting, as Andy said, half the game, the Martin O'Neill, Martin O'Neill.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great story, I think, for all of us working in the media that dealt with him 20, 25 years ago. But most importantly, Paul, he's winning games. He's kind of brought Celtic back to life that looked as though they were on a slippery slope. Losing games that you wouldn't expect them to lose. So he's restored that. He's got them back in the title race. He's got them to a cup final, and I think he just brought a breath of fresh air around the building as well. Now, for all we know, Paul, Martin O'Neill might not be the manager tomorrow. Celtic might have a new guy in charge. He might be the manager for the next 6 weeks. I'd love to see him get the cup final and a chance to win the cup on December the 14th, but it's not about nostalgia. It's about doing what's best for the football club, and Martin would be the first to agree with that. But what I would do for sure is keep him at the football club in some capacity. Give him some role in the boardroom. I think he would make an excellent chairman. Not saying now, but whenever the role is available, I really do think he would make an excellent chairman for Celtic Football Club. I think that would bring a lot of trust back to the club in terms of the supporters, but just give them some kind of executive role where he is there. He's a figurehead at the football club. I really do think that would be a masterstroke. Whether Martin would want that or not, I don't know. It's a different story. I don't think he's a director of football, but there's certainly an executive role at a senior level at the football club should be put in front of Martin O'Neill and give him that as long as he wants it.
I can remember years ago, Paul, Billy McNeill would have loved that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why Celtic didn't turn to him. He's the greatest ever captain. He's He was a great speaker. Every supporter lauded Big Billy. And they kept him at arm's length for a while. Eventually, he came back, some sort of ambassadorial role, but he was away there for too long. And when you've got someone like Martin O'Neill, the relationship that he has with supporters, it may well be 20 years ago, but look at the way they've taken to him in the last number of weeks. So to hang on to that, maybe even try and develop it, the relationship between a boardroom and the fans now, it's never been so distant. And I think you're still going to get these protests that the supporters are continually talking about. Maybe he's someone who could help.
That's a great shout, isn't it? It reminds me that the late great Billy McNeil it was to the benefit of Phoenix Honda and John Maguire, because he was hosting their box, which was magnificent. But for a long time, Mark, when he wasn't, ambassador for the club, and Big Billy was there regaling people with great stories. And this was voted the greatest ever Celt. Yep. The greatest ever Celtic player was Jimmy Johnson, is voted by, I remember some years ago, and Big Billy, greatest ever captain, greatest ever Celt. It's phenomenal. And sometimes it's right in front of you, a good solution. So the Martin O'Neill appointment as interim manager was a terrific idea.
It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah. Sorry, Mark. I remember being at Hibs and Jim Duffy was the manager, and he brought in Billy McNeil just as an experienced figurehead. And Billy loved that because the short time that I was there, and obviously our families were friendly. My dad acted for Billy in a lot of his business stuff, and he really loved that position. He was at a time in his life where he wanted to.
Was he on the books? Sorry, then
I don't think he was on the books, but I think he was just a spokesperson for Hibs in a very senior sense, and something like that. I think people like that want to be involved at their club.
It's an entertainment business. It's their club as well, because there's a disconnect between many clubs, the high finance, and the boardrooms and all the rest, and the punters who are there paying their money and will be there long after players, managers.
You see it, for example, Beckenbauer with Bayern Munich.
That's right.
Yes,
they're baked
for
in.
years. Kenny Dalglish at Liverpool, manager twice, and brought back in the boardroom. And look at that, bring the credibility of your football club.
Yeah.
So with Mark
Sir
O'Neill,
Alex at Man United.
If anybody was in any doubt about what Martin O'Neill do, and there will be, I know Martin jokes about it, but there will be a lot of Celtic supporters under the age of 30 they'll be aware of Martin O'Neill, but they won't have seen him in an interview and seen him live, and he's brought a whole new generation towards him of Celtic supporters. So for me, Paul, it's a no-brainer. When his time ends, and I hope he's in the job for the cup final, but when his time comes to an end, you've got him. You know what I mean? You've got him there, you've got him in the building. Don't let him go. Put something in front of him that he can't turn down.
There are some very there are some very small gestures you can do at every club, and I am not for a second comparing Hull City to Celtic, but I was doing a Hull game recently. There was some sort of centenary, some sort of recognition of something that happened years gone by. Every kid that was going into the game was offered a scarf. They just gave you a scarf. I was in the concourse where, of course, you can get a beer and watch the early game before the 3 o'clock kickoff. There was just a box everywhere of fresh fruit. Any child could go and pick up a bit of fruit. There were bananas, apples, pears, a little.
I saw some in your car. I'm kidding.
I'm just
That's
saying
brilliant.
that
Great
this is
PR.
a lovely touch for their
You're right.
supporters.
Yep.
I don't know if Celtic do that. I've never heard of it, I've got to say.
To be fair, the foundation do a lot. And
The foundation do a lot of great stuff.
Sure.
I know about that.
I know.
But just when you're talking about now being a disconnect, I just thought the idea of going around with all these scarves and giving it to every kid, I thought that's great.
He was asked then what about his own future then, given that we were into the international break.
No, I don't. Genuinely don't know. But if they make an announcement in the let's say in the next week or something, it's about a new manager, I will take this. I'll take this fortnight, and I was nearly going to say rather morbidly to my grave, but hang about. But you never know. But it's been fantastic.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Save big with 6 chili cheese bites for just £1.99. Crispy on the outside, smooth and spicy on the inside. Exclusively on the app.
Let's go! Go Radio Football Show. Paul Cooney, Mark Guidi and Andy Walker. Mark, of course, former president, Scottish Football Writers Association. And Andy Walker. Andy, a couple of people on. Just a moment. Yeah, football is an entertainment business. Just give us one moment comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be your number one favourite, but just a moment when you thought, wow, this is amazing, playing football.
Well, funny enough, we were talking about it the other day when my dad was on his last legs. He was in hospital and we played Motherwell and Tommy Burns made me the captain. So I was able to I went to see my dad after the game and I told him that he couldn't speak. But I told him I was captain that day. I'd scored a goal as well. It was a 1-1 draw at Fir Park. But all you got, he had enough energy just to give me a thumbs up, and so obviously he could hear me, and just a lovely moment. And that was Tommy. Tommy. We're talking about Billy McNeil earlier, so Tommy's in that same bracket. I think the sheer epitome of what you want in a Celtic player. Celtic manager, someone who just behaves everywhere in the way that you want. So things like that I think are priceless when you get involved in a club, and something so personal, so warm. It was just a very giving gesture from Tommy. It was lovely.
It's wonderful. I think the powers that be, if they listen, I can't believe there's still this. It's ice cold between the club and you, and I can't understand it. You were brought up as a Celtic fan, season ticket holder. You were playing, you paid for your family, and then you're not welcome, as far as I know, at the ground. Sort it out, Celtic. You should be bigger than that. You were founded to feed the poor in the East End of Glasgow. And here's Andy Walker talking about his proudest moment. Sort it out, come on, kindness. What's that all about? I mean, you're a double winner in the centenary year. When Celtic were really under pressure, Rangers were spending big. But Andy and the teammates, and some amazing teammates as well, Davy Hay put the team together. Big Billy came in and did amazingly well. Mark, it's surely the football clubs here in Glasgow should be bigger than this.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, Paul, and things don't always go well at football clubs. No. And what you want from Andy or any other pundit, ex-footballer, being a professional, is having an opinion. Now, you're probably not always going to agree with that opinion, particularly if you're being critical, but it's for the right reasons. You're being professional and you want the club to be the best it possibly can be. As long as it's not personal, as long as it's not outrageous, then you've got to allow an opinion. Yeah,
I saw you in a podcast the other day, Andy, and you were speaking about
Francis.
It brought it back to me, and Frank McAvenny was on it.
Podcast,
But I saw it and I thought, absolutely right. And there's a lot of good people there, and surely they look at this and go, come on, hey, the heat of battle. Sometimes things you say, but you don't fall out over that. I find it bizarre. Mark, for you in football, so many things. You played the game, but not to the level of Andy or whatever, but you did. Yeah. But some of the games you covered or whatever, the moments, if just one of them, you've got so many that you would say, hey, football, part of it all, this is a magic business to be in.
Yeah, I think, Paul, being at Wembley, Euro 96, even though Scotland lost, the Gary McAllister penalty, first major tournament I covered in journalism, was pretty special. Being at France 98 at the World Cup, even though it didn't go well, but very, very proud to be a part of that and going all over France, covering various games.
The scale of it as well, wasn't it? Sorry, the World Cup.
Yeah, going to Japan to cover the World Cup in 2002, even though Scotland weren't there, and just covering quite a lot of England when they had Sven, Goran Eriksson, David Beckham and all that at that time. And the game that sticks out for me, Paul, was Barcelona against Man United at Wembley in the Champions League final, when Pep Guardiola's team absolutely destroyed Man United.
Good Man United.
Yeah, right, good Man United. Wayne Rooney, everybody, and that's up close. That's the best ever 90 minutes I've seen from a team. That was a pretty special night. But yeah, you're right. Very lucky being doing in journalism for more than 30 years, and
more to come.
It's been an absolute privilege, and I'd love to see Scotland at
wouldn't it?
At the finals next summer.
Well, was the last game
really
San Etienne? Was that where it was? The city?
Yeah, Morocco.
Yeah, and we got back in the car. We didn't realise, nobody did, that this would be the last World Cup for, well, surely next year we're going to be there. But that was 1998. Gary, our producer, he wasn't born then. 1998. No, he's I know, and he looks about 60. No, Gary, I'm kidding. Don't go to HR. No, he's in his 20s. It's a joke. It's true though. We thought this would always happen.
Well, Paul, I've got 3 boys all born in the 90s, and they can't really remember the World Cup of 98, and we're in 2025. So I tell you, we're very close. We've got a great chance. We've got a good team. I think we've got some special players. I just hope we can do it.
Billy's on saying, what about this chat today about Nico Raskin, that he's wanted by some Italian clubs? Now, it's maybe no surprise because he's a Belgian international, but Nico Raskin, they're saying 18 to 20 million. But Nico Raskin could be, I wonder if the manager, Danny Rolo, is going to build a team around the Belgian.
I think Rangers need to be better at doing business. If you're getting anything near 18 million for any player at Rangers, I think you take it. And you have to have replacements lined up. You have to have the next Nico Raskin. That's the pressure. And I know that every big club are looking for someone to get for very little money and sell them for huge money. And I know how important he is. You only need to speak to Barry Ferguson and realise what he was given, what Nico Raskin was giving him every day in training. Some of the big games, the big game at Parkhead where they won 3-2. So I think Barry recognised him as a really special player. But you have to be able to do business as well. You have to buy and sell. Mark made the point, a good point earlier about 3 years. Next year, would you, if Nico Raskin just took a little dip, would you ever get anywhere near a big fee for him? So sometimes, if the money's there, if the offer is there, if it's really good money, I think you got to take it.
Mark, he scores some good goals as well.
Yeah, he does. He's a good player. He's really come into his own, I think, in the past season or so. He's now, very much involved in the Belgium national team, starting a lot of games. If you're Nico Raskin, it's all about timing. If offers are coming in, he could probably go, whatever, at least double, if not treble, his salary. Maybe the one wee niggle will be, okay, if I go somewhere and I don't hit the ground running, will that jeopardise my national team place? Whereas just now, being at Rangers, I'm very much a part of that. And for Rangers, you say that they've not played the market well enough. They've really let themselves down in the market over the past 6 or 7 years. So anything north of 15 million could help fund a rebuild for Danny Rule. So yeah, let's see if the alleged interest turns into concrete offers in January.
And Rory's asking about Alistair Johnston. This is what the manager said, the manager being Martin O'Neill, about the injury to the Canadian international.
They had to wait a little while for his hamstring just to get a clear picture of the x-rays or the scans, and that's shown a tear as well too. So it's really sad because I mean everybody says he's a really, really good player.
And Callum Osmond as well, injured. They've had a spate of these. Alistair Johnston's been badly missed, Mark, I would think.
Yeah. He's a really good right back. He's a leader, Paul, as well. He's very influential. And I tell you, where I think Celtic have struggled a wee bit this season as well in terms of professionalism and sorry, not but leadership day to day. They've missed Greg Taylor. He was a big part of that. They really have missed him. But Alistair Johnston is a top player for me. I'm not saying Callum McGregor's time is anywhere near up, far from it. However, he is 8-9 years older than Alistair Johnston. I would have Alistair Johnston down as the next captain. I'd try to get him to sign a contract with that, sort of built in, because he's a top player, and I think he's the kind of guy that would, if the deal's right, stick around for another 3 or 4 years.
Do you know what? Time's up already. Let's hope this time next week we'll be getting ready for Scotland against Denmark. Let's hope we've done well. Greece against Scotland. Andy, Mark, thank you so much.
Paul.
Thank
Paul.
you. And news is next then, Jokel Day. See you tomorrow night at 5.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Enjoy the £5.99 regular Whopper meal. Juicier than ever and bursting with flavour, with fries and a drink. Only on the app.
Let's go! The flame grilled Whopper from Burger King. The most food-filling burger.
Is it though?
Is that?
Yes. A slightly better version of you.
I don't understand.
Just like the new Whopper that's juicier and tastier than ever before. Same, but hits different. That's my line now.
Oh, sorry.
Whopper never tasted so good. Order now on the Burger King app.